Welcome to Apex Racing TV's broadcast of the Spec Race Ford Weekend Warriors. We're here tonight at Phillip Island down in Australia for what is round 5 of this second season in 2022. My name's Adam Hadfield. I'm returning after a week off and a chance to rest the vocal cords. And as ever, I'm joined in the commentary box by Sam Fitzpatrick and on the cameras, the ever-talented Mark Tranter. So Sam, welcome in. Week 5 is upon us. How are you looking forward to tonight?
This is possibly the most excited I think I've been around. Knockhill was chaos, like we were excited about the chaos. We like a bit of unpredictability, but this place is one of the best racetracks for these cars because there's so much slipstreaming. That final corner crucially is flat out, and the first corner is pretty much flat out as well, so you've got like a 35 second kind of section of the circuit which is just towing all the way through, and there's lots of other opportunities to slipstream as well, so the field should be super close. And if we're going to have a photo finish this season, it is going to be here. That run to the line on the last lap is super long, so I'm just got my fingers crossed that we have a close finish tonight.
Yeah, it's definitely a draft track for tonight's feature, isn't it? 40 minutes pit stop involved, but even with all that, I expect these drivers to be nose to tail throughout it. Obviously these guys enjoy their nose to tail side by side battling. Well, we've got the track for it tonight. All your usual names returning, and I believe we've got last week's winner Sean Campbell has joined us again, a driver who I haven't had the pleasure to commentate on yet, but you saw him come home to his first victory last week at Knockhill, Sam.
Yeah, it was a good performance from Sean actually, because he managed to keep his nose out of trouble, which is not necessarily something that you expect to see from a fairly inexperienced driver. But whilst other drivers were making mistakes, he was able to keep it very cool. It was a shame though that we didn't see him against Nom. I think it would have been a real close tussle between the two of them. Nom unfortunately had hardware issues, but fortunately the Estonian is around once again tonight. And well, just judging by the practice times, it looks very competitive out there. So I think we could see a few drivers trying to take that race win off Campbell this time out.
Yeah, as qualifying's just coming to its end now. Last few drivers polishing off their final laps before the countdown times out. Any driver who hasn't started a lap has finished it now, and already we're seeing a few different names up at the front there. Jörg Marni, Zhuangxi Lin, Chris Murakami. Absolutely fabulous job to be third overall, our normal Masters champion. So yeah, we'll obviously have a full rundown of that once qualifying has ended. In the meantime, I imagine we can take a look at the point standings as they stand at the moment. 4 rounds in, we're starting to see the shape of the championship and who our main contenders are. And as ever, number 1 in that contenders list, Nom, currently standing on 336 points out front despite his technical difficulties last week. Friends Arabian, as ever, keeping him honest, just 8 points separating those two now on 3 to 8. And Austin Winner, our runner-up last week, currently occupies the 3rd place in our red highlighted Spec 1 drivers. Jason Green currently holds 4th position from Matthias Weiger. And you've got Ellison, Prasky, West, and Lynn rounding out your top 10 in the Spec 1s. Let's see who pops up next. Are we going to have Spec 2 or Masters? It's the Spec 2 drivers. Oh, it was momentarily. There it is. A couple of issues there. Tom Renders currently leading that one on 238 points. He's got a fairly healthy lead, hasn't he, over Andrea Favini and Alan McCain, currently joint on the 200, the 200 there, 2nd and 3rd. Hugh Simpkins in 4th, and Paul Jackson currently occupying 5th place with 173 points. Sancinelli, Santiago, and Darlo Batenga and Gary Wolbolt making up your top 10 in the Spec 2 drivers. Effectively the AM category in our Spec Race Ford Weekend Warriors. And making up the Masters points positions, Chris Murakami, as ever, leading the standings on 255. Adam Bradshaw occupies 2nd place on 184 ahead of Bob Kern. Series founder Stevie Ray currently running in 4th in this Season 2 of 2022. Gian Longini in 5th from Antonio Reyes, obviously not up to his normal standards down there in 6th at the moment. Marcus Burkitt, Kurt Nunez, Michael Janae and Jim Brewster making up the top 10 in the Masters category. Now, I mentioned Stevie Ray there. I wonder if he's already caught him on the cameras whilst he's been going around, but tonight he is running special livery in memory of his lost friend Scott Redditch, who very unfortunately passed away recently. Scott owned Alliance Autosport and was sometimes sponsor of the Ray Esports unofficial SCCA league. In the real world, he was a 7-time national champion between the SRF and SCCA FE2. A brilliant fellow who's touched many lives and mentored and coached many drivers. He's a personality who will be sorely missed by all those who knew him. And I'm just going to take a few seconds as we watch Stevie complete a few corners in that special livery. A lovely tribute from Stevie there, running that very special livery tonight. And I'm sure many of the drivers who are joining him on the grid will also be passing on their condolences. So we're into the warm-up session now. 2.5 minutes down, 2.5 minutes just for these guys to get all their sighting points dialed in. And I imagine we can take a look at the grid as it stands. I don't know if Sam, you fancy running us through that when it pops up?
Well, I'll have a challenge. So we'll try to get through it. And of course, well, I think we should have. Do we have the full formation up? That's always what I get excited about before a race. I think it's actually only a half formation up on this space, so good that we've got to it nice and early. Jorg Mani on pole position there, and half a second clear of the rest of the order. Is a mighty lap, and of course that could have been slipstream aided potentially. You know, if you get a couple of nice toes, you can definitely gain half a second. That's an incredible lap there for Manny, who hasn't necessarily been fighting for, or certainly hasn't got a race win so far this season. But strong from the Swiss driver. There's Yangtze Lin there, who finished on the podium last time out. Chris Murakami, who finished in 6th place last time out. He's up there in 3rd on the grid. Championship leader Aaron Nom in 4th there. Sean Campbell, Steve Elson, Michael Nelson. Top of the Spec 2 drivers is Thomas Renders, and then Dudu Castro and Jason Perry round out the top 10. You can see very multicoloured that top 10 on the grid. There's Alan McCain, Just Simpkins, Michael Dobeck, Yarbas Delage, new driver seemingly to this series. That's sort of what the grey indicates. Antonio Reyes is in 15th place overall. Then it's Jim Brewster, Kurt Nunez, Rasmus Rory, Mateus Weiger, Andrea Favini, Evandro Dantas, Mario Huraski, Tim Van Dorn Marlen. Then it's Aaron Vogel, Ian Gibson, Jason Green, Richard Coffey, Adam Bradshaw, Bob Kern, and Ken Batley rounds out the top 30. Behind that, and interestingly, we're still seeing some of the Spec 1 drivers this far down the order. Really mixed up good tonight. Ryan Short's in that 31st place. There's Edgar Sancinelli, Jeff Cantor, Paul Jackson, Stevie Ray, Johan Boitunga, Desmond Floyd, Jeff Jacobson, 38. As we just transfer over to the grid, that's just why the graphics have gone away. But behind that, in 39th position, is Gianni Longin. Luca Leone is in 40th. There's Jeffrey Waymans in 41st. Tom Laurie, Michelle Baglini, Paolo Gori, Flavio Andalo, who's one of our championship contenders as well, had a great result last time out, and he's going to be making up a lot of places. Samuel Dick and Marcus Burkitt round out the 47 cars. And we do have a full formation up anyway, so it's no stress with the timings after all. But yeah, crazy grid that, honestly. And I mean, these guys, I believe they even visited the circuit last season, Adam, so it's not exactly a track that they will be unfamiliar with, and yet there seems to really be some specialists out there in the Spec 2 and the Masters categories who have got way up on the grid.
Yeah, definitely. It's a track that isn't too tricky, you wouldn't have thought. Everyone should be familiar with it. There's nothing overly technical about it, apart perhaps from the Lukey Heights section where you drive over the top of the brow of 9 and then down into the hairpin turn 10 MG. But yeah, most drivers should be familiar with it. There's nothing to unseat them or trick them around here. And as the cars take their warm-up lap, I think that just gives us time to mention our sponsor, RaceVoice, proud to be the exclusive sponsor of Weekend Warriors Spec Racer Ford Racing Series. Take your driving to the next level with on-track audible performance alerts with RaceVoice and RaceVoiceSIM. Hear miles per hour, turn entry and exit speeds, upshift alerts, and other performance metrics which are selected and configured by you. Go faster with the speed of voice. Plus Weekend Warriors get 50% off annual SIM pricing using the promo code of WW50. Take some time and check them out at www.racevoice.com. So as we get ready now, 47 drivers, all taking it nice and calm and steady, warming things up ever so slowly as we work our way through the formation lap. Expecting all health to break loose, to be quite honest with you, Sam. And when these guys get going again, it's going to be the calmest they're ever going to go through the Honda and the Siberia section, isn't it? I expect them to be side by side at real pace in the next minute or so.
Definitely, and I'm not sure if there's necessarily a more bowling pin corner than the Honda hairpin, because you have one driver who just runs a little bit wide the left, and it's not a particularly difficult left-hander as well, just leading into the Honda hairpin. But of course, if you're running 2, even 3 wide, super easy to dip a wheel onto the grass, and then once you do that, you've lost all control of the car, and you're going to have rows of cars right in front of you, so watch out for problems there. Also watch out for problems through turns 1 and 2. Once again, if you run wide through turn 1, you can rejoin the circuit dangerously at turn 2. Yeah, a little bit of netcode would be very costly, but hopefully we keep it all clean, and hopefully we have some big packs which are able to fight for the top positions in each class tonight.
As our Porsche safety car pulls off into the pit lane, Jörg Marni takes over control of this ferocious 47 car grid, and he's gone early. He's not even into turn 1, into the final turn yet, and he's put the hammer down. Off he goes, Rongshi Lin and Chris Murakami following in his wake. All 47 drivers charging down to turn 1. We've already got a 3x3. Is that Nelson coming up the inside to make it 3 wide into turn 1? Oh, turn 1 is not a corner you want to be going 3 wide into. Very fast, flat out in these little Spec Racer Fords. But everyone seems to have got it through cleanly now and into the southern loop for the first time. Chris Jörg Marni taking a comfortable lead off the start there. Caught everyone napping seemingly.
Yeah, that was really good work there from Murakami to make up that place, and still no one managing to get past Marni despite that very early launch. I thought he might be vulnerable with the tie. Are there going to be any problems into the Honda hairpin? Everyone's being very well mannered at the moment, getting on the bricks early, particularly those cars on the inside of the circuit, checking up a little bit, but they know how to avoid incidents, and that was very expertly done. Also, Aaron Yong just getting past Lin, by the way, up into 3rd place, so good work from him, albeit, of course, track position probably not essential at this part of the race. There's going to be plenty of changes later on in the event. Campbell also getting past Lin now, who has had a bit of a rocky start, but just keep all 4 corners on that car, make sure you don't pick up any aero damage. He'll be able to come back later on in the race. And Marni, even through this middle part of the track, not able to pull away. Now Lin is having to go defensive against Elson. Doesn't want to drop back too much as they get into the big draft check for the first time, as we've got McCain round. He's on the inside of the hairpin there, tries to rejoin him, but he'll be outside the top 40.
Yep, just the one driver off on the inside there. Everyone else managing to keep it clean seemingly. We're focused on Kurt Nunes at the moment. Down, he's lost positions off the start, started in 17th. Obviously the shuffle hasn't favoured him, he's down into 20th currently. Flicking back to Jeff Jacobson now, the number 40 car, as we end lap 1, and as ever, the lower reachers are all side by side still. It'll take a couple of laps before these guys all sort themselves out into single file racing. Down into turn 1 is alongside number 415. And holds that inside very nicely, but he's on the outside now, and he's going to lose out to Flavio Andalo, who's obviously trying to recover from a poor starting position. He needs to get up if he wants to contest his Spec Racer 2 credentials tonight. All streaming down as the leaders go through Honda hairpin for the second time in the race. Jörg Marni still with a 2/10 lead. Aero Nom not wasting time. Started fourth, already in second, and he's going to be challenging Marni straight off in this one. Oh, and we've got a driver round. Who was that in the background? Number 247.
Yeah, Vogel right there, dropping to 44th position. Fortunately, he's just at the back of the train, so he'll be able to make up some moves again, and that car looks all clean, so I wouldn't be surprised to see if he maybe got a slight tap into the Honda hairpin, which caused that spin. As you see Nunez trying to chase after the others, 7 seconds off the lead. The field starting to spread out gradually, albeit we've still got a lead pack of about 11 cars, and then a bit of a gap back to Delage. As we see what happened earlier on, you can see that one's going 3 wide in the backline. They were going 3 wide there though, and that was the contact there from Nunez, making contact with Vogel, and not sure whose fault that was, honestly. But Vogel was certainly the one who lost out, as Nom is going to go for the lead here, so he's one by one picked off the drivers he started behind, and on to lap 3 he now leads this race. But there should be plenty of opportunities to overtake, and of course something that we've kind of learned so far this season, Adam, you don't necessarily want to be the leader of the race. You maybe will be in second place, save some fuel and have a shorter pit stop, so not necessarily an advantage here for Nom, but well, they seem fairly desperate for the race lead right now, don't they?
Yep. Immediately going back for it is Jörg Marni. He's going to take Campbell through with him from the looks of these things. Aeronom's still to the right of us, and he's going to try and contest first as we go down into the hairpin once again. Has he got the exit to hold on to this position? Well, they're side by side again. We're into Siberia next. We're going left. Jörg Marni with the inside line surely has the advantage here, but Aeronom will have a little bit more momentum as they pop out. Now through this left section, flat out through here. Sean Campbell wants him to make a gap so he can stick his nose in. Aeronom looking to, just clear the nose of Marni, but Marni's still got it in there, and now the track should be definitively in Jörg Marni, number 25's favour. But have I spoken too soon? Nom's still there. Nom's still going to take it into MG. Fantastic racing by these two. Everyone else is hoping that they might get a turn at some point, but Marni finally sees off Nom there, and almost an entire lap of racing for you, and we're only on lap 3.
And it's about to start all over again, because there's no way Marni is going to be able to pull away. Nom a little bit further back than he was on the last lap, I think. Is Campbell even going to give him a little bit of a tap here just to help him along? Gap down to 2/10 of a second. Nom would have to be fairly brave to go for this one into turn 1, but the overspeed is so much there, and he's already got his nose ahead. Look at Murakami as well, looking like he's going to go through in all of that, and Marni quickly gets shoveled down. In fact, actually Marni manages to keep P2 as Murakami, who loses the place to Campbell. So they'll sort of in 2 rows there, and the outside lane managing to get some good speed through turn 1, turn 2. What that meant was that after Renders and Castro dropped some time to those leaders, they've been able to catch back up, so we've got that lead pack of about 11 cars once again, as Brian Short seems to really be struggling out there. He's offline and dropping a few places. He's now down to 35th. Can't imagine that's a slowdown, but almost looks to be that way. The 20 now alongside the 933, Brewster versus Van der Molen, and that was in the end fairly well under control for those drivers, but they are starting to lose each other time battling this much. You can see they're losing time to the guys ahead. They've lost the draft now to Dantas up the road, and instead they've got about a 6 or 7 car train behind.
Yeah, you mentioned for Brian Short there a possible slowdown. I think this is one of the very few circuits on the iRacing server where it must be nearly impossible to find anywhere that you can pick up a slowdown. I can't imagine where you'd do any corner cutting round here, unless maybe you got right up on the curbs into one of the hairpins, but that wouldn't be an ideal line to be taking. So no, not sure what happened to Short there. He's still back up to racing speed though now. We're looking at Miro Hraski in 24th position. Started out in 22nd, so sort of stayed where he was. Oh, and we flick back to the leaders again. We're going down the main straight again, so of course they're overtaking. Jörg Marni on the right. He's got help from Campbell, who's going to try and draft through past Marni. Marni ducks back in, watches those two through, and then takes up a slot in 3rd place. I imagine he'll think there'll be more overtaking as we get down to the turn 4 hairpin once again as we come round. Yep, it's definitely quite a big lead group, isn't it? You can see them all there, 7, 8, 9, 10 cars, all within a couple of tenths of each other. All this battling at the front only encourages that kind of pack racing. Oh, and for a change, they don't overtake into the hairpin, just to prove me wrong there. But Chris Murakami is on the inside of Elson. Chris Murakami taking up 4th position there. I think earlier when Aeronom flew past on the previous lap, he had to pull out, didn't he? Because Chris Murakami was coming with such speed. It's definitely a feature. If you're a little bit further back in the pack, you can pick up the slipstream of 2 or 3 cars and just come flying by. As Campbell shows a note to Nom there. Nom not having any of it though, sees him off as we come up to Luke Harris. Oh, and we've got a spin. There we're looking at Jan Longi, number 965, who's come through that one relatively unscathed it seems, but we have left a driver behind at the hairpin.
Looks like it's a lorry, I think. Burkett may be making the contact. Oh, there was a check-up then in front, and Burkett wasn't quick enough to react. Maybe it was too close in order for him to react. Oh, so for the lead. Campbell, we're going to go 3 wide now. Money's been fairly aggressive so far, and he moves back up into the lead, does the pole sitter, who will come out in 2nd place. Well, in fact, Campbell is still going for the lead. He's got the slightly shorter run through 1, but the outside line for the turn 2. And look at Castro, he flies off the circuit there. He needs to make sure he doesn't get a slowdown, or well, not a slowdown, but a drive-through penalty. You can see he's dropped off the back. He's now got 1.5 seconds to catch up to the back of the train. That was very high speed. Unfortunately for him, he didn't go so far that he cut the entire circuit. So Marnie back up into the lead. He was able to hold on Campbell, but here comes Campbell again into the Honda hairpin. Not just settling for P3 for now. Murakami staying very quiet in 4th. Lin just also getting ahead of Elson, I think. And Marnie ends up winning this time round. But I can't help but feel, Adam, this is all a bit of a waste of time. It's good fun for these guys, and they're not coming particularly close to contact. You know, they know how to race one another. But you would think maybe they'd want to, you know, form a group and try to pull away from the others. But, you know, this fighting out in the lead is just going to hold them all up as we see another change for the lead. Campbell back up ahead.
Yeah, you say they know how to race each other, Sam. That's not stopped me from clenching my teeth every time we sort of flick back to them. I'm worried that someone's going to go shooting off into the scenery at any moment. We're watching a battle for the mid-teens at the moment. Antonio Reyes up to 16th now in the number 914. We'll be hoping to hunt down his Masters rivals in Nelson and Murakami, who are some way up the road, but not so far up the road that there isn't a chain of drivers he can slipstream off them. By 4 or 5 laps time, he might well be there with the, I think it's a lead 14, maybe a lead 13 cars, Sam. They all seem to be within toe distance for the front 13 anyway.
Yeah, top 13 certainly, and then Dalago is about a second further back. But might get back into play as we see Rory up ahead of Simpkins. Vivini now off the circuit. You can see that indicated by the yellow stripe on the timing tower to the left. And Vivini seems to have lost quite a bit of time, so that's a shame. He was in 3rd place out of the Spec 2 drivers. You can see they're very spread out, and you can just see Vivini, I think, just pointing the wrong way at turn 2 in the background. Now Viger was also having problems. This is Jackson at the front of this very long train. They're coming into a bit of smoke, but not so much that it should compromise their visibility. And Jackson losing out to Botonga. There we've got 4 Spec 2 drivers. Andalo in this one, who I think won in the Spec 2 category last week, but qualified nowhere this time. Not sure if that was tactical or for a bit of fun, but he is up a lot of places so far. It's the 28th place. Man, he is up 16 places, which I think might be a high, most places gained of anyone on the grid.
Yeah, Andalo is Spec 2 winner last time out at Knock Hill. Currently climbing up the grid. I think we saw about 3 or 4 different drivers off at turn 2 on that lap. iRacing doesn't have oil spills, but you kind of wonder if there wasn't one to send all 3 of those drivers off into the weeds and around and about. But I think they've all recovered now. As we check in on this front battle once again, Wang Shilin currently in 6th place, the number 30 driver. After losing a couple positions off the start, he just couldn't get back into the into line with everyone, lost multiple positions, but now very much a part of that lead fight. We're looking at Del Lago trying to follow Reyes through. Reyes making positions left, right and centre here. A minute ago we were talking about him being in 15th, 16th place, now he's in 11th. A fantastic couple of laps from the 914. He's got Castro just in front of him next, and then there's a bit of a gap because the front 9 have seemingly pulled away.
Yeah, that's something sort of happening to Castro. I did see him drop back earlier on, and then managed to close back up. But then this kind of split which has formed might be permanent. That he's going to be able to make up 2 seconds now, and so yeah, kind of lead pack of 9 now separated by 2 seconds, and then yeah, very little draft now available, unless of course Reyes may have better pace and he may be able to drag that pack of cars up to the lead group. So we've got 2 wide over Lukey Heights. This is very tricky, and 2 by 2 they go through. Sancinelli involved in this one. It's Jason Green at the front of it, and actually makes a little bit of a gap as Nom come into the pits there. Oh gosh, well that's a bold move, and anyone else doing that I'd be questioning it, but obviously Nom, the most successful driver in series history as far as I'm aware, and he's gone for the mega early stop. I guess that's just to get out of traffic.
Yeah, maybe to limit his risk of driving with 8 other drivers who all wanted to take the lead at various stages of the opening 14 minutes. We'll see what kind of traffic he comes out into, because he'll undoubtedly have to overtake other drivers now. So whether he loses time doing that against whatever time he gains by running in fresh air that he thinks he can accomplish. Meanwhile, Antonio Reyes, as a result of that, is up into 10th. And watch Aero Num come down out of this long pit lane, runs all the way out to the exit, to the entry of turn 1, comes out into clean air. He's got a 3-second gap to canter ahead of him now, so shouldn't have any bother for the next few laps anyway. These guys though, they're going to have all the bother in the world. Wang Shilin just overtaken Ellison. He's claimed 4th, ahead of him Murakami, leader in the Masters series. Somewhere in that gaggle there's Tom Renders, leaders in the Spec 2 series. So they're all at play, all the different colours of the rainbow. But Campbell, having taken his first win last time, has a taste for the champagne clearly, and he's going to try and take race number 2 in his calendar. As we look back to Matthias Feiger now, he's challenging Dobek ahead of him, and in fact he's got a few drivers, Green, Brewster and Nunez, all within his sights as well. As we come down to the MG hairpin, oh, just running wide, the number 42 ahead of him, sticks his nose in but can't make anything of it. In fact I think it cost him more than the driver making the mistake.
Yeah, he sort of had to get on the brakes slightly as wow. That was a very late commitment into the pits, wasn't it? Very unusual pit lane that we have here at Phillip Island. Very tricky to get into. Mainly used for, well, it's used for a wide variety of circuits, but most mostly used for motorbikes, which don't tend to use it too much. Albeit there was that race, I think, in 2013, I think, where the tyres were shredding themselves to pieces at MotoGP, and they had to come in for a pit stop, which was a very unusual circumstances. But yeah, most of the time the pit lane is not tested around this track. Also had a couple more of the front runners come into the pits in that last time around. Elson and Castro both pitting in. Elson with a little bit of a long pit stop as Buori in 9th position. And I believe this is Buori kind of making his way through then, and yes it is, because he was 0.4 of a second faster than Reyes on that previous tour of the circuit. And so, well, I usually say he'll try to pull away, but obviously he cannot with the draft effect. You'll gain easily 0.4 of a second if you're the car following, and also Largo and Van der Marlen as well in this pack. And Perry just getting past Murakami a little bit further up for 4th position. But still, all in the lead pack are now those top 7. Seems like Simpkins has dropped back a little bit, so it's down to just a lead pack of 7. As another one comes into the pits, and it's Campbell this time who ups in.
Yeah, we've lost a couple into the pits now. I would just comment that I don't think Reyes wants to be fighting with Vori ahead of him. He wants to surely work together with the driver of the 024 as they both look to pass Simpkins on this lap. Vori to the left, Reyes to the right. Simpkins surely is going to back out of this one. He doesn't want to fight it too hard as to go 3 wide. Oh, it's Vori got a little bit loose on the entry there. Maybe got out onto the dust, got into a slide. It's cost him a position and Reyes is free and clear. Now I'm just wondering where's Campbell going to come out, especially in with there. Well, there's Nom and there's Campbell on the left, and Aero Nom's going to be comfortably ahead here. You know, I think he's got far more pace entering turn 1. Campbell will hope to just have a bit of slipstream, but you know what? I think that's too big a gap. I think he's out of the slipstream now, and Aero Nom's early gamble looks like it's going to pay dividends.
Yeah, and interesting how little fuel Nom took. So Nom was stationary for 12.55, Elson was stationary for 15.05, and Campbell 13.57. So Campbell was stationary for 1 second longer than Nom, despite the fact that he got an extra little bit of tow right at the end of that. He's been in a draft these past couple of laps, whilst Nom has been all by himself. However, Campbell gained the gap back down to 1.2 seconds there, so he just managed to gain about 0.3 of a second since he came out of the pits. Manny and Lynn now with a little bit of a gap over the rest. Let's see when they come into the pit. Surely someone will, push it as long as possible. I'm surprised how many early stops we've had, but it's just the amount of pack racing that we've had. So many changes of position. Everyone's desperate for some clean air right now. Gibson is not giving Favini any clear air, and Favini with a much better line around this part of the circuit. He is going to be guaranteed to be able to pull alongside, but Gibson makes it a bit more easy for him. He opts into the pits. A bit of a slow entry it looked like there for Gibson, and that will make it easier for the drivers behind. So Lynn back to the lead then. I think that was just a move from Yangtze Lin to move up into the lead, and Perry just a second behind these drivers, so he's going to get a little bit of a draft, but he's going to have to work hard in order to really get onto the back of them. And here comes Murakami doing the wise thing there and just stays behind people.
Yeah, Lin taking the lead of the race for the first time tonight. We're on to lap 12. He's decided it's his turn to be at the front. A breakaway too effectively, as I think Perry and Murakami have been trading places multiple times on the past lap or two. Not so much time lost that they're too far away. They should draft back up to the lead too, and we'll have a lead pack of 6. Just in the background you can see Reyes leading the next group, places 7 through 10, and then it's a little bit more of a gap back to Van der Marlen, number 20, currently occupying P11. Let's see if any of these guys peel away now. They've seen half of their group peel into the pits. Oh, is Reyes very wide there, defending from Simpkins, I think. Simpkins obviously not willing to give up that position without a fight, but we saw him lose just a couple of laps ago. Will any of these boys filter to the left? Doesn't look like it. Onto the stand. Oh no, we have. Vori's gone missing from that picture. There's Vori into the pit lane then. None of the front 6, meanwhile, appear to have done so. Those 6 still as they were. Marnie back into the lead. Oh, he's got a back marker coming out of the pits, though. Is that back marker aware of who's behind him? Looks to be, yep. Moves over to the right, comes out of the throttle, and just lets these first 3 go by. Hopefully he'll see the next 3 as well, so not to jeopardise any of their races.
That was good work from Tom Laurie, who we saw have a spin at the Honda hairpin earlier, but that's very wise to get out of the way. Perry now right with these cars. Just comparing the lap time, so Marnie on that last lap 44.0, on the previous lap he did do a 43.4. Obviously if you're P2 you're sort of going to go faster, because then you get the momentum going through the final few corners and you can pull ahead. But Perry on that last lap 43.28. Just comparing that to the drivers who have pitted, Nom a 43.26 on that last lap, and the lap before was a 43.8, I believe. So they're sort of matching each other. There's not a big difference in the pace between the drivers who are pitted and the drivers who are yet to pit. The only thing I would add is that if you haven't pitted so far, you will be saving more fuel. You'll be in the draft of the car, had less air resistance therefore less fuel that you'll be using. So slight advantage maybe for the lead guys, but don't expect there to be a big difference. Don't expect Marnie and the lead pack and the drivers who are yet to pit to be a long way ahead, and don't expect them to be a long way behind. All these drivers who are yet to pit will come out really close to Aaron Nom and Sean Campbell, who are the top two of the guys who pitted earlier on.
Yeah, of those front three who have pitted, we've also had Castro and Elson in there. They were part of that lead. Well, it sort of varied between 14 drivers, 10 drivers, didn't it? But they were in there, and now they're 6 and 7 seconds off of Nom, down in 24th and 25th positions currently. So obviously their pit stops didn't go to plan. They weren't able to keep with what is ultimately the lead group of drivers who have pitted. As Campbell sets a new fastest lap on that one, a 1:42.8, as he achieves his goal of completely closing down Aero Nom. So those two are definitely going to be in for the battle. Oh, as Marnie's just come out of the pits as well. Sorry, I missed that one. He was in the pits, has popped back out. Oh, he's got a back marker in front of him right now that he's going to have to clear, but I imagine he'll soon be back onto Nom and Campbell as well. So we've definitely got a front three who are going to be battling it out. Let's see where Lin, Perry and Murakami will come out when their respective pit stops take place.
Yeah, and Marnie with a fairly quick stop there, so Marnie pretty much matching Nom for the amount of fuel that he took. Campbell with 1 second more of fuel. So Marnie's still within slipstream range, so he's very much there. Expect Lin to be very close then to Marnie, should be touch and go who comes out on top out of those two drivers. And yeah, interesting how much fighting Campbell was putting on Nom there. Surprised they didn't just wait behind. We're seeing Vogel right here battling against Jackson. Vini gaining big amounts of time through the hairpin. Vogel actually pulling a gap, but it'll still not be enough to be safe through turn one, I imagine. None of these drivers, yeah, who has actually pitted out of these drivers? So 13th place. So yeah, none of these guys have come into the pits yet, albeit they have got Nom and Campbell catching up to them in the background. Perry now into the lead, I believe, for the first time in the race. Porter the second ahead of Lin, and Murakami and Renders getting a nice bit of draft, currently the leaders in their respective classes. As we get stopped one more time for Perry, who's started down in 10th position actually, did Jason, but he's looked as quick as anyone. He's really been very effective at making his way through the order.
Yeah, the top 17 drivers were waiting on to make their pit stops. Aaron Nom currently occupies 18. Campbell and Marnie absolutely right on his rear bumper now. So there are your lead three who have pitted. I think interestingly we mentioned that we might see some fuel saving in the draft. There's been that much battling and that many drivers who have pitted earlier. I don't think anyone's actually been able to make good opportunity of sort of the lift and coast of fuel saving. So I'm imagining most pit stops to be relatively similar in length. I don't think we're going to see anyone pull off a Yuangshu Lin from Charlotte last year when he absolutely undercut everyone. As flying to the inside, there goes Yuangshu Lin, the number 30. He's decided it's time. 25 minutes and 15 laps into the race, he's going to make his pit stop. And we'll roll the dice once again and see where he comes out relative to our normal leaders. Tom Renders, meanwhile, we're on board with up to the back of Chris Murakami into turn one. Interestingly, I think Tom is sort of lifting out of the shock a bit, isn't he, as we're on board with him there. So maybe he might have a slightly shorter pit stop as we flick back to Marnie now. I'm waiting to see where Yuangshu Lin comes out relative to these two. Aero Nom looks to have got a little bit of a gap though, doesn't he, Sam?
Yeah, 1 second now ahead. There is the driver exiting the pits ahead. And I think Lin, it's going to be ever so close. Fortunately, these guys have enough grip to sort of choose which line they take. But man, that was close. They were close going into the pits, weren't they, Marnie and Lin? They were the top two, separated by about 0.2 of a second. Lin with the 2 lap later pit stop, but pretty much matched each other all the way there. And his pit stop time there, Lin, was really quick, 11.2 seconds, so 1.3 seconds faster than the next fastest. I guess that was because of all the draft that he's got so far in this race. And it still wasn't enough for him to stay ahead. So actually those couple of in-laps weren't competitive enough, and it has left him with a little bit to do. He's trying to get past Leone there, cannot afford to let a car get in between him and the drivers ahead. So Nom leading the way then, and we expect to keep him to have that lead once Perry and Murakami and co come into the pits, as Perry and Renders opt in right there. Murakami, who usually pushes it as far as he possibly can, apart from last week. Last week he came in super early, but most of the time he seems to leave it as late as possible. There goes Marnie on an ambitious move. He's not really racing Kern there. You don't really see that driver as an opponent, you just see them as an obstacle to get past. And Marnie managed to tackle it very, very quickly. And once again, all about keeping in the draft of the car ahead. Campbell having to go the long way here around Favini. But again, he is still within 1 second of Aaron Nom, who moves up into third position. Just Murakami and Simpkins to pit out in the lead.
Yeah, we've got Perry coming out of the pits somewhere around these boys as well. There he is. We've got Tom Renders behind as well. But I think the horse has bolted on these two, you know. The front three have come and gone. Oh, and there's Vori as well. We flick back to as he comes charging up through the back end of the top 20. But I was wondering for a moment there if Aero Nom was sort of making the winning race moves, to be quite honest. He was 3 cars between himself and Jörg Marnie and Sean Campbell for a second there. It'd be unfair to call those drivers back markers. They're just drivers that haven't pitted yet, so obviously they've got the pace to stick with Nom and not lose that much time. But I did wonder if Nom was going to have built a second or two by the time the other drivers got through it. It doesn't appear to have happened that way. Campbell and Marnie still within drafting distance, so I imagine they'll all close up once again as we're looking to enter the final 10 minutes. Watching Jeff Cantor at the moment, number 944 Masters driver. He's got Coffey ahead of him and Short behind. Short, who we mentioned earlier, having a little bit of trouble with a possible slowdown or some kind of technical issue. As we mentioned, back up to speed and back up to battling with the drivers in front. Oh, there's a little bit of bumping front and rear there. A little bit of check-up, and that's going to favour Kern, the number 916, who makes a pass on Short. Down through Siberia once more, and then climbing the hill on the other side. These drivers all fighting over the top 30 at the moment, looking to break into that top 30 as Chris Murakami, our Masters leader, is in the pits.
Oh, and Nom lost a couple of places on that lap, didn't he? You can see the lap time now. I sort of missed that one on the timing tower when it happened. Or, to be fair, it may have just happened going into turn 1, to be fair, because I think both Campbell and Marnie were very close going through the final corner. And so Nom drops back to third place despite that early pit stop seemingly working for him to get track position initially. It wasn't enough, as Renders and Elson, I think, have just had a bit of an issue. Renders seemed to be off the circuit for a moment. There was a yellow stripe next to his name, as actually might have a change for the lead here. Marnie ended up staying behind Campbell, so Campbell's still in the lead. No, Marnie is ahead. Again, it doesn't matter that much who's in the lead at any one point. Of course, they will just be able to slipstream their way back past, but Campbell is momentarily back ahead. But yeah, a couple of problems there for the drivers. Murakami then comes out in 6th place, still leader of his class, and Renders a little bit detached. Renders even behind Ruori now, so it's kind of how much time he's lost with that late pit stop. Seemingly, the early pit stop was the way to go.
Yeah, it seems to have paid off, certainly in the favour of Nom and Marnie. We've got a breakaway 3 with Wang Chi Lin desperately trying to get into those podium positions. I imagine those are going to be at most the top 4 who are going to be fighting it out for the win. Jason Perry a little bit detached. Oh, is sliding off. Sanchinelli keeps it on the road. The number 918. Kurt Nunez out into the weeds, but keeps it moving forward, thankfully. He's got a fight on his hands now, though. There's Samuel Dick to his left. And Nunez back into 28th position, having scuffed his tyres up. Something fierce, I imagine. Oh, as Dick's going to lose another position. Coffey's up his inside. And they're all lining up to take a piece at the moment into the MG hairpin. Kurt Nunez will be watching his mirrors, thankful that he's not going to deal with all those drivers. That piranha pit of fighting behind him.
yeah, there could be a mega draft for one of these drivers to really get a lot of momentum change. Again, this is pretty much a carbon copy of what we saw in the last time. So much grip seemingly around the outside there. The Honda hairpin. Well, not enough grip that time. Marnie up ahead. Wonder if we get a replay actually of what happened to Renders recently, as we're actually, I think, seeing Renders on screen right here trying to come back, because Renders was the leader of the Spec 2 drives quite comfortably as well. Should have really been, I think, sort of Murakami range. He seemed to be battling with Murakami before, but then he had an issue on the previous lap, so he was behind the 0.24, which was Vuori, and then spun around Lucky Heights, and that is how he lost the lead in the Spec 2 race, but not for long, because he is very close to the back of Simpkins, Dobek and Reyes at the front of this battle. And it's Dobek who momentarily moves ahead. Excellent profile picture for Dobek. I don't think that's a self-portrait, but I still quite like it.
No, very apt, isn't it, for the number 42 there? Yeah, I think Tom Renders stuck his nose into a wedge that was probably always going to disappear. Fortunately, he couldn't back out of it in time to prevent the spin. No worries though, he's still got a fight on his hands. As we're on board with Simpkins at the moment, Renders right in behind. Immediately ahead though, Reyes and Dobek through turn 1, keeping it nice and calm for the moment. We've got 7 minutes before the real fireworks take place, I imagine. Now, I mentioned at the front 4, it is definitely a front 4 now, as Rongshi Lin moves up to 3rd place. And actually on the previous lap, Jason Perry half a second quicker than the lead 4, so if they are fighting as hard as they appear to be, you never know, Perry might get there. These guys continue to fight though. Dobek gets it down to the apex very well. Oh, and Simpkins fancies a piece of it as well. Reyes just leaves a car width and no more on the apex there. These guys 12th, 13th, 14th and 15th. Our 3rd place in the Masters category is Reyes. Our lead drivers Simpkins and Renders in the Spec 2. So a real cross league battle going on in front of you right now.
Yeah, great. That sort of Simpkins was helped out a bit by Renders' instinct, gives us a battle for the lead. As Favini, oh, he's had a decent day actually, has Favini. But that is a few paces lost, and that must be so annoying when you see just a huge pack. You don't even lose that much time, but you lose a lot of positions. And now we see it once again to Luki has so many overtakes around that part of the circuit. Marnie into, well, Marnie I think keeping the lead there. I know, I mean, I say keep the lead. I mean, obviously you only keep it for a minute or so, so it's barely something that anyone possesses for any significant amount of time. Certainly does seem like Nom and Lin have established themselves as 3rd and 4th. It's been Marnie and Campbell, mainly the two who have been switching places. This track not wide enough really for 3 wide on the most part, really only the pit straight is that possible. Campbell back ahead though, and Lin actually getting ahead of Nom. So it's sort of all positioning, learning, as if these drivers didn't know already where you want to be going on to the last lap. Could it be that you don't even want to be in 2nd place, that you will be in 3rd position, perhaps, Adam? Would you say that's maybe the case from what we're seeing so far?
I think so. Oh, as Lin slots his way up the inside of Aero Nom there. Nom was not leaving him more than a car's width, but Lin decided he wanted it. Yeah, I'm amazed that none of these drivers have thought just to take it calm for the next few laps. Clearly they're not going to get dropped, but clearly they're enjoying the fight. Yeah, I imagine certainly coming across the start-finish line to start the last lap, you don't want to be 1st or 2nd. 3rd would probably be the best position, because you can position yourself wherever you want on the track, whether you're going inside or outside. There is room to do 3 wide into turn 1 at the very least. We might see it as a feature as we watch them across the line again now. Campbell takes up the inside, Marnie to the left, Lin in full draft decides I think he's going to push him along, and Nom's going to push Marnie into turn 1. But yeah, Sam, I'm amazed that none of these drivers have thought, let's just sit half a second, 7/10 off the back of this and wait for the final lap.
Yeah. But credit to them, really high quality driving. And they might just be feeling quite relaxed about it all and thinking, well, we're not going to get caught by Murakami and Perry. Interesting actually that Murakami got past Perry. I missed that one, but that is a change for 5th position. But they know that they're not going to be caught up, so just having some fun with it. They're going to have a couple more laps to go after this one. In fact, will the next lap be the last lap? It will be. Yeah, they're not going to get around in 40 seconds, are they? So we are about to go onto the white flag, and this is where track position starts to matter, and this is probably where you do want to start fighting for that P3, which we think is probably the best place to be going on to the last lap. Maybe not the best place to be coming out of the hairpin, albeit, honestly, anyone from the top 3 could win. If you're 4th, you can't really do anything coming out of the hairpin. There's just not the space to find your way past your rivals. And so you would have to back out of it. As Campbell marginally ahead. Well, this is a great opportunity now for Nom, because neither of the top 2 have got a tow. If we're going to see 3 wide, this is going to be when we see it, because Nom's going to have a huge run on the pair.
Yeah. In fact, in this situation, with them being 2 wide out of the final corner, I think any of the front 4 could draft by here. Aeronom is right under Sean Campbell as it happens. He's going to try and bump him through. Lynn with the overspeed though, he's going to go down the inside. I mentioned it might be 4th position. It is 4th to 1st. Wangshi Lin with a stellar move there. Oh, and Marnie goes round. Oh, young Marnie just too wide into turn 1. He's been in the lead most of this race, and he's shot it all the way as we enter the final lap. It's just a front 3 now, a podium 3. Wangshi Lin, can he hold on? We've seen them 2 wide for most of the lap. I imagine we're going to see him 2 wide from here on out, as Sean Campbell definitely wants a piece of Wangshi. Onto the brakes, down into Honda for the final time. Number 30, he's still holding the lead miraculously as we come through the second hairpin, the second big stop and overtaking opportunity. The drivers behind seemingly having nothing to question him with. Aeronom, in fact, is even a little bit off the back of these 2. It might be that Aeronom's out of it for the win. It might be just the front 2 now. Wangshi Lin is going to have to fade left, surely. He doesn't want to give Campbell any room up the inside. Manages to carry the speed over Lukey Heights. Sean Campbell runs it out wide, tries to carry speed down to the final braking zone. He's not going to get there. Oh, Aeronom gets all sorts of squirrely. Manages not to bash into the back of the number 46, but I think Lin's got this. Unless we've got a big draft from Campbell coming to the line. Dan, what's your bet? 1st or 2nd for Lin?
Looks good for Lin. Is he going to be able to hold on? Here comes Campbell. They really high over speed here. The checker flag is waving. Campbell will pull alongside. Has he got enough? He is getting right at the close. Feels 2/100ths of a second at the line. Lin just held on. If he was 100th of a second closer coming out of the hairpin there, Campbell would have had the move, but he didn't quite. The 24 running a little bit slow right at the end there. That was Vuori. Wonder if he ran out of fuel. Perhaps he did take very little fuel, did Vuori. So I think he was spluttering across the line. Surprised we didn't see a few more drivers in that scenario. But great positioning there for Lin. I honestly thought the lead was not the place to be, but he really nailed that hairpin, and that was the key to that race win.
Absolutely fabulous drive from Wangshi Lin to snatch the win at the end there. Well, to snatch it on the opening of the final lap anyway, and then hold position. We're watching the top 30 come home now. Bob Kern claims 28th place from Brian Short. Coffey coming home in 30th. 31st for Gibson. Oh, we've got another photo finish. That's Sancinelli and Stevie Ray in his tribute livery. Comes home 35th. Leone 36th. We're waiting on, and then Longin. We're watching battles back into the top 40 now. That's Desmond Floyd, the number 82. He's going to come across the line in 39th place from Favini, who's had something of a torrid night, to be quite honest. Only going to pick up 40th. And in fact, Alan McCain is in 41st, another of the normal higher-end Spec 2 drivers. And that, I believe, is all the cars on the lead lap. Yep, all 41 drivers, Alan McCain the last of them. The rest of the drivers a lap or further down. But what a finale. What an amazing battle between those 4 drivers. And there it is, up on the screen now. Wang Qilin claims it by not even 200ths. 16 thousandths of a second between our first and second place tonight. You called it, Sam. We'd see a photo finish. And couldn't get much better of a photo finish, really. Aeronom will just have been wishing that he could have been a part of it. In the end, an absolute chasm of a 4/10th gap back to Aeronom in third. Jason Perry comes home in fourth, picking up a final position when Jörg Marni slid out wide. Chris Murakami, our Masters champion, in 5th place overall from Dudu Castro, and the ever unfortunate Jörg Marni led most of this race, or at least was the leadingest driver, if that's a word. Always in the front battle. Unfortunately, just threw it away, running a little bit wide into turn 1, maybe got onto the dust or even the white line before turning. Michael Nelson comes home in 8th overall ahead of Evanto Dantas and Michael Dobek. Antonio Reyes climbs up to 11th place with Rasmus Fori, his ever shadow in that one, in 12th position. Yabba Stalago in 13th ahead of Hugh Simpkins and Tom Renders. Hugh Simpkins winning out in the Spec 2 battle. Jason Green comes home 16th ahead of Tim van der Marlen. Flavio Endalo in 18th with Matthias Weiger in 19th. Johan Batenga claims 20th. Miro Hratsky in 21st and Jim Brewster 22nd. Ken Bately for TLD Motorsport in 23rd ahead of Aaron Vogel. Kurt Nunez, Samuel Dick, Jeff Cantor and Bob Kern in 28th. Brian Short home in 29th ahead of Richard Coffey. Ian Gibson, Paul Jackson, Marcus Burkitt and Edgar Sanchinelli make it up to 34th. Then Stevie Ray, series organiser, in 35th. Luke Leone in 36th from Yanni Longin. Jeffrey Wymans in 38th and Desmond Floyd 39th. Andrea Fini and Alan McCain, as mentioned, the last drivers on the lead lap, with Tom Lurie, Michael Vaglin, Adam Bradshaw, the last remaining drivers running. Steve Ellison 5 laps down. And we lost Jeff Jacobson and Paolo Guri somewhat early in that race. So I imagine there are drivers waiting to chat with you. Sam, do you want to pull our first driver in from the interview pool?
Right, sure will, and we will have a chat with Yangtze Lin first up in the commentary booth. Congratulations, the race win, and by a tiny margin. Congratulations.
Thank you.
That was what was the strategy going on to that last lap? We were discussing, do you want to be P2 going on to the last lap, P3? You were all out on the win. Was that the game plan from the start?
Not really. I mean, I sometimes get too hot-headed when into the last few laps. I can't really think. I had that huge run into on the second to last lap. I might did it too early, I thought myself, but I did a couple official races. There were times that if you had a 3/10 gap at the exit of the last turn, you can outrun the trailing car. That's actually what I did. I mean, I was actually lifting and checking up before the last turn, and to make sure that I had a really good exit. And I think, I mean, I have said in the interviews before that I'm not someone who races to be slow, but I actually did it once, but for the opposite way, let's say. But anyway, looks like Sean didn't had a very good exit, and I was able to outrun him, and I'm glad that I won the race.
Yeah, it was absolutely perfectly done on that last lap. It seemed like you guys were just swapping positions throughout, and yet there was never any contact. I mean, it must be great to race against such, fair drivers out there, because you guys seem to have a lot of confidence in one another.
Yes, I mean, that's why I signed up to this. There were a few 0x contacts that was very close, but we held it all together.
Well, once again, congratulations on the race win. Is there anyone you'd like to give a shout out to?
This might go a little bit longer. So maybe you have noticed that today I'm running a special paint to pay tribute to Scott Reddick. He is, he's SCCA racer. He's 7-time Formula Enterprise 2 national champion and 2-time national runner-up in Spec Racer Ford. But what I heard is, unfortunately, he apparently committed suicide this Tuesday. It was really hard impact to the community. So I read his legacy. I read I heard the podcast that's dedicated to the memory of him. He seems to be a great guy. So I made this livery the past couple days, and I want to win this to keep the memory alive. To keep this great spirit. This oh man, I'm running out of words a little bit, but I'm glad that I actually had the win in the end, and I'll leave the rest to Mr. Steve Ray to finish it up. And thank you guys for broadcasting it. Thanks to Stevie organizing the league. That'll be all.
Awesome. Well, thanks for having a chat with us, and best of luck that you can repeat the race win next week.
Thank you.
Huangxi Lin there, your race winner tonight. Adam, I think we have Chris Murakami ready.
Yeah, I'll just pull Chris into the booth. Chris, our Masters winner once again. It's pretty much a habit for you now, isn't it? Coming home 5th overall in that one. But how was your night? I imagine very good.
Yes, yeah. It was a lot of fun racing with the guys up front for the first time. This week I've had some really good races this week, so I felt I was going to be pretty strong, and I was hoping I'd get a top 5 and ended up 5th, so I accomplished that goal.
Yeah, an outstanding qualifying to lying up 3rd position overall. You must have been expecting great things from a starting row that high.
Yeah, when you're, I think a 3rd, and the only thing is that with this draft track, I noticed I was dropping a little bit back. So, everything worked out well. I was wondering if I should have fueled earlier, but I got a fuel calculator, and it probably would have came up short since I wasn't really pushing, kind of saving fuel. So I didn't want to come in too early where the other guys were going in early. And so, there's a lot of fuel saving in this race.
Yeah, I was going to mention you didn't come in till lap 17. Obviously, drivers started peeling off as early as sort of lap 8 or 9. Did you were you wondering where you might come out against those guys, or were you fairly confident that you could maintain the speed and maintain position?
I had a feeling I was going to be behind them because I'm kind of more on the throttle than letting it coast, and it's just my driving, and eventually I'll probably use that into my favor in a sense of coasting more and saving fuel. But one thing is I knew I was going to stay out there, and I got one lap where I actually led. It's been a long time since I led a lap, so that felt good too.
Yeah, something to add to your highlight reel. Next week, Summit Point. How are you looking forward to that one?
Good. The only thing is everybody knows that track, so it's highly competitive, and it'll be a lot of fun.
Thanks for joining us, Chris.
Thanks, guys.
Chris Murakami there, our Masters champion tonight, 5th place overall. As we come to the end of our round 5 broadcast here at Phillip Island. Before we go, if you've enjoyed watching us tonight, take a chance to give us those thumbs up or subscribe to the Apex Racing TV YouTube channel. We're also on Facebook and Instagram and Twitter. Just search Apex Racing TV and you'll no doubt find us. Sam, I don't know if you've got a few highlights for us coming up over tonight and the coming weeks on Apex Racing TV.
I sure do. We have got no Masters tomorrow. The Masters is over on Mondays. However, on Tuesdays we do have ARL GT3 Trophy, Also got Ray Esports as well. That's like at midnight or 2 o'clock in the morning, but excellent time for any American viewers, which I'm sure many of you watching along right now are. Then it's the Nordic F3 Championship on Thursday. ARA F3 VRS Super Series returns next Saturday. Also, Finding Speed GT3 League is on Saturday. Formula 3.5 Championship is on Saturday as well. And we've also got the Champion Motorsports iRacing Team Endurance Series next Sunday. I think they're 4-hour endurance races. Usually a very good watch that. So, yeah, make sure to subscribe to the channel to check out all those upcoming live streams.
Yeah, and before you know it, we'll be right back with the Spec Racer Weekend Warriors for round 6 from Summit Point. So I hope you'll all join us then. I've been Adam Hadfield. With me, Sam Fitzpatrick and Mark Trant in the box. Wherever you are in the world, good morning, good afternoon, good night, goodbye from us all.
Are you struggling for consistency in your sim racing? Does your iRating look like a roller coaster? If so, we have good news for you. The way to get more consistent is to first understand what you're doing differently than the professionals. And VRS is the answer. With our competitive subscription, you will have the telemetry, setups, tutorials, and everything else you need to fully analyze your driving. Our data packs and the ability to compare your driving with the best in the world will show you exactly where to adjust your inputs, change your driving line, and shave seconds off of your lap times. And our powerful and precise Direct Force Pro wheelbase and precision pedals are being used by some of the world's best drivers. All these champions agree that VRS hardware is not just the best on the market, it's also priced well below the competition. So if you're looking to upgrade to direct drive and the best pedals in sim racing, VRS is your answer. If you want to get better, get faster, and make it happen sooner rather than later, you owe it to yourself to find out why so many people are switching to VRS. You'll be so glad that you did. Visit www.virtualracingschool.com and learn why the best use VRS.